panelists and Father Elpivothoros, and then 2 minutes for the chairman's comments, and then we are off to lunch. So please stick to 2 minutes, to 2-minute answers each.
I'd just like to comment on the sport issue that Peter raised. And to make one correction, of course, it's not illegal in most countries for sportsmen to take drugs or enhancers. It's just against the conventions of particular sports governing bodies. It's nothing to do with the law, and it would be very inappropriate if it was to do with the law. They're punished by the governing bodies of sport by being disqualified from competition. Now then the question is, as was rightly raised, what constitutes and indeed Peter raised this himself, but as a complication rather than attempting to address it, what constitutes a legitimate form of enhancement? And it has very little to do with fairness, because to be a professional athlete is the most unfair thing you could imagine. Firstly, you have to have independent means of a considerable sort or be sponsored. You can't do it as alongside a full-time job. So you need vast resources, you need a vast array of synthetic, artificial, or other aids. You need a personal trainer, you need a dietitian, you need physiotherapists, you need a whole range, you probably need psychiatrists these days as well. You need a vast range of things to be an effective athlete of any quality whatsoever, and a great deal of medical assistance of a sort not normally available in most societies. Whether in addition to all of that, something illegitimate is added by the use of drugs, whether these are safe or unsafe, is a further and separate question. But it is a convention agreed upon by sports governing bodies, but has nothing to do with ethics or indeed safety, as to whether or not particular sorts of enhancements are legitimate in sport. Now, I'm not saying that they should be legitimate. I spent a lot of my life trying to be a sportsman of a reasonable quality, so I agree with Bill Shankly, the former manager of Liverpool Football Club, that football is not a matter of life and death. It's far more important than that. So I don't think sport is trivial, but it is marginal to many people's lives. And it's up to sports to do what they like. It doesn't really matter what rules a sport has, so long as they are fair. Change the rules, and there would be no unfairness in using drug enhancements along with all the other enhancements that athletes currently use.
Yes, I mean, John is very largely right, and you are right in saying it's arbitrary what is regarded as allowable and what isn't. John is not entirely right. Any doctor who prescribed steroids to stop a girl entering puberty in order that she could be a gymnast, as was extremely common in Eastern Europe, would be struck off the medical register if no further sanctions would be applied to them, because this would be regarded as a totally improper and unsafe use of powerful prescription drugs. So it's not quite as simple as that. But in general, I agree with him. It's illegal within the confines of being a doctor. I mean, you lose your right to exercise your profession. Yep. And the other thing I just wanted to say is, of course, what John was saying is about the general applicability of moral precepts is, of course, pure Immanuel Kant. There's nothing that, in fact, prescriptions have to be applicable to people who do not have preconceptions but have a certain universality about it. And that, of course, is the principle of the ethics of the European Enlightenment, and something which I would have thought we would all agree with very strongly.
Thank you. I just wanted to share with you some thoughts after what Professor Lachman told us about the conception and the fetus and the embryos. The idea, the first point I want to comment is the idea that the ensouled fetus or embryo is first appeared in the 19th century from the Roman Catholic Church. I cannot accept this because from my readings and my studies, I have seen that the idea of the protection of the unborn embryo or child is even exists even in the Oath of Hippocrates and goes through the whole regulations of the Church, even which were decided in the ecumenical councils of the first millennium, when the whole Christianity was one, undivided, and there is always a canon that prohibits any harm to the unborn child. Now, the moment, the question is, the ethical, the moral question is, who decides when a fetus is ensouled or not? And this, or who decides when a fetus becomes a human or not? These are two different questions, and different people have to decide this. But about concerning the soul, is the Church or is the religion to decide, I think, because soul is not something that can be observed by the scientists. So according to the faith, the soul is something that does not have to do with the nature, with the scientific research, but has to do with religion. So the soul comes from the moment of conception, and according to the belief of the faith of the Church, from the very first moment of the conception, we have a human being which we must protect. Otherwise, we will endanger having different interpretations of the moment that the embryo is ensouled or is become a human being, or the criteria, who will set the criteria, who will decide the moment. So these are things that I think we would endanger if we enter into such a discussion.
Thank you, Father Pavlos.
Just one more comment. What I said was that what has priority is not the nature, is not the chromosomes, the personhood, but it's the personhood, it's the relations we have to the fetus and with each other. And for this, I brought the example of the Holy Trinity in our church. And the last sentence is that the Orthodox Church is not against the contraception, is against any attempt to harm the fetus or the embryo, any embryo, in any moment.
Thank you, Father Pavlos. Obviously, that's a debate that can go on forever. I will try to summarize in a couple of minutes what was discussed in the first session of the conference. I will not attempt to draw conclusions, however, because I don't think that's possible. We had a panel of very distinguished speakers who took the mantle from John Salston's smashing speech yesterday to elaborate further on the main themes of this conference and to explain to us why this conference is so worthwhile. So we enjoyed very much John Harry's speech on the major ethical questions that science innovation raises these days, a theme that was also picked up by Inez, and Maria gave us a great exposition of the advancements in medical science, in medical innovation, and also the ethical questions that these raise. Then we moved on to the question of religion and cultural evolution, where Peter Lackman gave us an outstanding presentation, and we learned a lot about bees too. Thank you, Peter. And we moved to the Orthodox view of personhood, giving us the opportunity to draw the linkages between religion, cultural evolution, and ethics, especially the ethics that underpin the foundations of our Western civilization and of our Western societies. The reason that I will not draw conclusions is because this debate can go on forever. So I'd like to conclude this with paraphrasing a Heraklis Polemarchakis paper and wonder it's a question that I have myself. Can they disagree forever? John, Peter, Maria, Inez, Father Elpivothoros, thank you very much.